Welcome to today's topic. So today we're actually going to talk about looking at the full research proposal structure. So the full research proposal structure follows on the previous video that we actually had, which was actually looking at the factors to consider whenever you're testing the feasibility of your topic. So it all flows together where first time you have to first gather whether is your topic researchable. Will you be able to carry on with this topic for more than 1 year? Or you'll still have, kind of the energy to go and finish your research, because it doesn't come overnight. So there were a couple of factors. So you can actually watch the previous video that we spoke about the different factors when you have to consider when looking at your proposal. So now in this video, we'll be actually focusing on the actual structure and looking at all the headings. This is very important as well to make sure that your contents page is on point, because you first have to have the bones. So that's my motto when you do research. First have to have the bones, then you then fill in the meat as you go. So it's very important to know what is the structure of a research proposal, and then from there, under each of the headings, what is then detailed under those headings. Then we need to then flesh out what you need to write under each heading. But all of this flows. You can't go into your research proposal without first doing the first step, which is looking at the feasibility of your research. So that's the first the research topic. So that's the first point. Then after there, you then move on to your title. So the title is quite important as well. The title, you ensure that your title is concise. It's actually a concise summary of the proposed study, and generally includes some of the components that we're going to discuss today. So there's a couple of components that you need to include in your title. So the first component, I would say you need to look at the theoretical model. What is your study based on? What are you measuring? So whatever you're going to measure, there has to be, remember, especially when you're doing undergraduate, masters, from like postgraduate, from either your postgraduate or your honors degree or your masters, you then have to look at theoretical models that are available out there. So you can't just say, I'm just going to test this, because you need to have measurements. How are you going to test this? Has it been tested before? So it's always about proving what has been done and then coming up with your own finding and then arguing about the finding and actually contributing. Hence, there should be a research gap and see what others have done. Then when you move on to doctorate, you still will probably be consulting and looking at what others have done, but what will come out from your doctorate will then be what others will also use in the future. So you'll then be building a framework for whatever field you're in, which people will then use in the future to conduct their own research and test your framework. So you need to also make sure within your research, what is the grounding framework that you are using. So it depends on the actual field that you're in. So whether you're in, let's, for example, if you're in marketing, there's a lot of frameworks. You could be maybe looking at service quality of maybe a restaurant. I make an example. If your proposal or your research is going to be about looking at service quality at restaurants, or service quality at retail, or service quality in any type of maybe service business, then there's different models out there, like the ServQual model, which you can like research on and look at other articles. How have they applied ServQual? You can go on YouTube, Google Scholar, look at how it's been applied, who's the original author, who came up with that model, what other people have done as well. So there's many. So I'm just going to put here like an example. It's a ServQual. So looking at the quality of service. So there's also maybe if you're doing within business, looking at technology acceptance, there's also a technology acceptance model, which is called TAM, where you can then measure these elements that you're then going to be part of your study. So that's the one thing that you need to take into consider when you are coming up with your title. So the next thing, when you're looking at your title, you need to think about a broad theme. So remember, all of these things are going to form part of the title. So all of these elements are going to be part of your title. So the broad theme could be, where are you focusing? Is it e-commerce? Is it mobile commerce? Is it social media marketing? Is it email marketing? Is it medical biokinetics? So whatever, maybe in, I don't know, construction, the quality of whatever in construction, but the broad theme will then be construction and looking at, maybe you're looking at the psychology side or whatever that you actually researching, but you need to have a broad theme as well. Then the next one, you need to have a specific topic. So remember the broad theme, for example, we'll say the broad theme is e-commerce. Okay, and then within e-commerce, what is specific within e-commerce are you looking at? I could maybe say maybe e-commerce customer satisfaction. So my broad theme is looking at e-commerce, but my specific topic, which remember I've done the factors first, so now I'm at a stage where I've read a lot of articles, so you can't just jump into this, so you need to build it on. So now I'm already at the step where now, okay, I'm kind of filtering down, I'm using a funnel approach, so now I actually want to focus on customer satisfaction. I want to look at how satisfied are customers through e-commerce platforms. So there's many e-commerce platforms around there, globally as well as different countries. So the next thing that you need to consider in your title is a particular industry. It could be an institution or product categories. For example, for me, because I've said e-commerce, now I need to narrow down on e-commerce. So it could be broader. You could be maybe focusing on social media, marketing communication as a broader theme. Then when you go down, you look at social media advertising as your topic. But in my case, we're looking at e-commerce satisfaction. Then over here as the particular industry, institution, or product category. So in our case, we've already spoken about the industry, which is so the industry can also be the broader theme, which in our case is the e-commerce, and then the specific topic was customer satisfaction. For the particular industry here, or product category, I could say maybe e-commerce is broad. I could say maybe sports equipment. So I'm gonna do a research amongst sports customers or sports shoppers. So I could maybe say here sports is my industry. So my topic now is coming together. I'm probably using a soft qual, or I'm using a TAM, I'm using a technological acceptance model. So my title is going to be around the lines of looking at the effectiveness of, so you need to look at the model, which is TAM. So TAM will have perceived ease of use, it will have perceived usefulness. So you could say the perceived ease of use of e-commerce platforms among sports shoppers. So you see my title is already coming together. So the next one that we need to looking at, so we need to now add to our title. We've spoken about the broader, spoken about the model, we've spoken about the theme, we've spoken about the specific topic and the particular category, in our case is sports. Now who's our target group, the unit of analysis or the sample? So over here it's we could say young, you could say young shoppers, you could use a generation. In our case it's sports fans, because we've already spoke about sports, so we'll say sports fans. You could talk about gender, it could be females, it could be males, it could be about age, generation Y, generation Z, baby boomers, generation X. So it depends. So you see now I'm already adding to my title effectiveness of perceived ease of use of e-commerce platforms among sports fans, And then now we need to add the context or the location to kind of like round off our title. So now the title will then say, in the context or location, sports fans, maybe in Africa or in South Africa, in the United Kingdom, in England, in London, in Lagos, in Kinshasa, in you could also be in Bulawayo. So it depends wherever you are around the world. So it's not like I'm trying to call all the cities around the world if I didn't call your city or your place, but you kind of get the gist of things. So here we're gonna say maybe South Africa. So now our title, you see, we've spoken about these, and now we can kind of like say, okay, our title is gonna be, we want to look at the effectiveness of term constructs or technological acceptance model constructs, which is perceived ease of use as well as perceived usefulness, or you could say factors or constructs within, or we can say towards e-commerce platforms, e-commerce platforms. Okay, so it says the effectiveness of term constructs towards e-commerce platforms. You can say customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction, yes, it's coming together. Then we'll then say who's our target audience among sports. So we don't need to maybe say caps, sports fans. And then we bring in our location, Africa. So we've got our title. So we've used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So kind of 6 stages to kind of build our title. So these are very important when you are building your title.